Welcome to a new video, and I've done it again. I bought a job lot of cameras. This, however, I think is my cheapest one yet. I managed to pick this entire lot up for £10, and it has 10 cameras in there, so that's basically £1 a camera. That's an absolute bargain. Now, I do know what's in here because the photos were actually very good and the seller was really detailed in the description, which is quite uncommon for a job lot, in all honesty. But I don't know what condition they're in. Well, the exception of one. I know that one is definitely non-functional from the photograph. So without any further ado, let's open the box up. Right, so as I'm just opening this up and trying to look at you and talk at you and not cut my fingers off, we'll have a look at what we've got. Ooh, interesting packing. So we have some bubble wrap. We also, just to pad the box out, have some cardboard tubes and the end of a packing roll of tape. So I'll be perfectly honest, it's actually incredibly well packed. So, and each of the cameras appears to be in bubble wrap. So let's have a look at our first one. Right, let's get this open. Okay, so we have a Prinz executive case, and contained within this wonderful plastic is a Prinz 110 camera. So the battery contacts on it, well, the battery door falls off for a start. The battery contacts look to be in some fairly terrible condition, so I'm not sure whether I can get that working. As I say, the hinge for the back fell off straight away. Can I even get this thing to go back together? That's a good question, isn't it? Oh, yep, I managed to get it to go back together. And it does pull out still. Oh, something appears to be working in there. So even if the battery contacts are a bit knackered and the flash might not work, it's still working. Do I have any real inclination to shoot 110 film? No, not massively, I've got to be perfectly honest. Oh, in terms of dating these, probably 70s. But, weirdly, despite my huge collection, my first 110 camera. Oh, forgot to put the case down with it. Right, what do we have next? It's a biggie, but it feels quite light. Let's have a look. I've got a feeling that this is one of the SLRs. Oh, by the way, this job lot is a mixture of digital and film. I think the majority of them are film. Right, okay. We have a Minolta Dynax 500 SI. Okay, batteries, it takes a 2CR5, so give me a moment, I'll see if I've got a 2CR5 somewhere. Okay, so back again with a 2CR5 in tow. Let's whack this in there, and moment of truth, it switches on. It fires. It hasn't got any film in it, but that won't fire with the back open. Oh, we now have a message on it that says help. So, not 100% sure if this is completely dead or not. I haven't got any lenses for it anyway, so we shall have to see if I can get this one working or not. I do have a Dynex strap with it, very pretty. So that's 2 cameras down. One sort of working, the other one screaming for help. We shall carry on and see what we've got next. Okay, so this very much looks like a compact camera of some description. Right, we have the 80s, possibly 90s Tastic Olympus Trip AF S2. So these take, I believe, yep, just standard double A's. I have some double A's here. Hopefully they've got a bit of charge in them. Really should have checked beforehand. Not getting a lot out of that, but that could be the batteries. Right, one moment while I investigate whether I've got some batteries. In fact, I know I've got some batteries with charge in them because they're rechargeables. Back in a minute. Okay. Back with the rechargeables. God, this battery door's awkward. Ugh, there we go. If I had nails, they'd have been destroyed by that. Right. Still nothing. So we may have a deaden here. I don't know what I expected for a whole £10, but oh, no, it lives. It takes photos and the flash works. It's even got fill-in flash. So, yeah. And the shutter winds on. Shutter works, it winds on. Flash works. Despite a momentary thought it didn't work, we have a worker. The Trip AF S2 34mm lens on it. Doesn't actually say what the aperture is, so I will need to check on that. But yeah, I've got a point and shoot from Olympus, enjoying all my other cameras. Right. That rattles, which is rarely a good sign, but sorry, that was a face you didn't really need to see me doing that, wasn't it? Let's have a look what we've got under here, because this is 80s Tastic, and I knew this one wasn't, and I'll show you what's wrong with it. But we've got a, oh no, this is not the one I thought it was. This is another one. This is a Horizon Thomas Cook 35AW. Now, this basically is just a rebrand camera. Quite who made these, I don't know. It does look a little bit Olympus-y, I've got to be perfectly honest with you. Oh, yeah, that's rarely a good sign when something falls out of the battery compartment. Oh yeah, it's the bottom contacts for the battery. So, despite taking AAs, this thing, it looks like it's had some water damage, but that may glue on and may be cleanable. So I'm just going to pop that back in there for the moment, and we'll come back to it. It's obviously not in working condition as it stands, but there we go. Am I going to get a load of shelf queens? We've got 1.5 working out of 4 so far. Right. Ooh, this one's had a piece of cardboard put on the front there. Is it valuable? It's not if it's what I think it is. There is one in here that I know, and oddly, it's one I want to review. Yes, it is. Right. for some reason, they put a lot of effort into protecting this. This is Nikkei, and these are what's called scammers. So back when I worked in photographic retail in the early 90s, we saw a lot of these, and I'm going to do a separate video on that. It actually feels like it's quite hefty, but that's because there's a bloody big bit of lead in the bottom. And these things were sold normally out of auction shops that popped up in abandoned showrooms and things like that, and basically sold these at highly inflated prices to people, and they were a rip-off. They were always a rip-off. So in fact, it's got my battery stuck in there, seeing if it would work, and I value the batteries more than anything. But I am going to do a separate video on these. I don't know whether I will get this working or not, but these things would be hilarious if it wasn't for the fact that they ripped so many people off. So I can at least talk about this thing, because these still occasionally get put up on auction sites. Mainly I see them on Etsy for like 50 quid. And this is not worth 50 quid, but people feel the heft. But it's really cheap plastic, and that heft is a big lump of either lead or slag iron, some really cheap metal in the bottom of it. Not worth it. Okay. On to our next one. Now, this may be another version of one I've already got. It is. I thought it might have also been its successor, but no, we have an Olympus AZ300. Now, my current AZ300 I got in a job lot. Here it is. Look, I've now got two of them, but the viewfinder on this one doesn't work properly. It's had one of its elements knocked out of alignment, and as a result it's not very clear. You can't actually see anything in it to see if it's in focus or not. I've taken the batteries out of my existing one, and I'm just popping them in this one, and we'll see if this fires up and if the viewfinder's working on it. Well, it's saying the batteries are almost flat, which I know is not the case. Did I put the batteries in the right way? Let me have a look. Yep. Positive at the top on both cases. Saying the batteries are dead, so I will have to look into that. But at first glance, oh, that's not good. Okay, the pressure plate, it was actually stuck. Oh, just been rammed in there. That's nice. The wrong way round. Actually doesn't look as though the pressure plate is necessarily broken. It looks like it's just come out and may actually be fixable. I shall have a look at that. But yeah, that shouldn't have come out like that. Let's whack the batteries back out of there. And pop this one down alongside its pressure plate. Right, time to keep going. Another point and shoot in a little generic camera bag. Aha! And we have one of the two digital cameras that were in there. So this is a Olympus Camedia C1 Zoom. Now the C1 Zoom were from 2001. Whoa! It's got a battery in there, and the battery has charge. Yeah, look at that. It appears to be functional. Right, let's have a quick look. Ah, 2 AA's, and they are working okay. And oh, okay, that's actually worth more than the camera. It's got somebody's name and address on it, which I'm not going to disclose for fairly obvious reasons, but it still has the smart media card in it. Now, these things are really hard to get hold of in this day and age because they're a dead memory card format, and as a result, that little 128 meg smart media card is probably worth as much as this entire job lot. The fact that the camera appears to be working as well is another bonus. So there we go. We've got a definite worker there, one of the digital ones. Right, let's whip out the next one. Right, what do we have here? Okay, and again, I knew this one was in here. So this is a Canon Sprint, an early Canon Sprint. Now, I do know, yep, and it is completely gone. The battery door is both broken and completely corroded, which is a shame because these were, ooh, probably should have checked for that in advance. Very old film in there. The camera's knackered, so let's just rip that out and boing, boing, boing. It's a complete mess down here. It's a good job you can't see it, but it's a shame that the battery door is gone and has been corroded on that, because these were actually quite nice little cameras. I mean, nothing great to write home about, but they were reasonably nice little cameras. But it is, oh, pardon me, it is completely dead. Okay, if you've been keeping count, this is the penultimate one, and it is another digital and another Olympus. Another one as well in the Camedia series. So this is the 960 Zoom, which weirdly actually came out a year before the one that we just looked at. Now, this one's not firing up. Takes 4 LR6 batteries, which is another way of describing a double A. How many double A's have I actually got on me? One moment. Okay, so I've popped a fresh set of batteries in there, but to no avail. It doesn't appear to be working now. It may just be that the battery connectors are foul, and I will need to have a look at cleaning it up. No smart media card in this one, though, unfortunately. That would have been too lucky finding 2 of them in 2 cameras, but we got one of the digital ones working. I mean, the battery connectors in here don't look to be the nicest things in the world, so we'll have to see if we can clear that up. But it's one of the digitals working anyway. Right, on to the last camera. Now, we'll see if this one's working, because this, oddly, is what I actually bought the job lot for. The other stuff was, to a large degree, superfluous. I really didn't care too much about it. This is what I was hoping, and do still hope, is in a workable condition. And that is, okay, that needs gluing back up, a Canon EOS 650. Now, while I just pop the pop a battery in the 650. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Now, the 650 came out, if my memory serves me, in around about 1986 or 87. And this was a historic camera. Well, still is a historic camera. Ooh, it's got a battery in it. I very much doubt that that's working, but no juice in that battery, so let's try putting a new battery in there, or one that I definitely know does have some charge, because it came out of my EOS 5, and I know that the battery in my EOS 5 is absolutely fine. So yeah, as I was saying, this was Canon's very first, the EOS 650, and it's working. And it says it's got a film in it. So it's a good job I haven't opened the back up, but let me just take the lens cap off, and if you give me a moment, go up to my 5D here. Turn it back on. It focuses. It takes a picture. It works. I have a working EOS 650, the very first Canon EF lens mount camera from 1986 or 7. I can't remember, but this was the one that I was hoping was in there and working, and for £10 is more than worth it, being perfectly honest. So for me, yes, there is a lot of stuff in here that isn't working, but I've got an early working digital SLR, sorry, not digital SLR, digital compact, which is always a good shout. I've got a working or semi-working Scamera that I can use, and a few others. So for £10 overall, just for the 650 and the smart media card, this job lot's been a win. But it does illustrate quite clearly the risks you take when you buy job lots of cameras, because being perfectly honest, I've had in this lot probably my lowest level of success. I've had more broken cameras in this than I think just about any other job lot I've done, so I'm quite glad I managed to get it for £10, because any more than that and it probably wouldn't have been worthwhile. But there we go, that's my job lot. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content gets uploaded. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.